Sad Monday to you on Foul Territory.
Mike, is yours still here?
Sure. Because I'm the only baseball fan that's not hurt.
You know why? You know why all these people are getting hurt? Because
Why?
they're hitting the subscribe button to subscribe to Foul Territory. So they're hurting their arms by subscribe. It's
Carpal
free.
tunnel.
It's free. You only have to hit it once.
I'm willing to hit it a ton of times. I'm willing to do it for the big league show, Foul Territory. Hit subscribe.
Well, don't subscribe and unsubscribe. That doesn't do much for anyone. You know, there was some negative news this weekend. So I'd just like to spend 10 seconds on the positive. There are some good games.
There was some crazy endings.
Yeah.
There was some good pitch. I mean, there was some good pitching.
There was.
The Sunday night game last night was great. The guy, I was wondering if he was ever going to give up a hit. Blanco. It's like, is this dude ever going to give up a hit?
So were the Astros because the pitch count was in a different situation yesterday. Now, He's 30 years old. So I know they were talking about it and social media was talking about it. And I was like, who cares? 30-year-old journeyman. If he's got a no-no again, he's pitching. If it was 130 pitches, he's going. I mean, maybe they would have thought differently, but this is a Phil Humber situation.
They had Montero warming up when he still had no hits.
That was in the 5th or 6th inning when he was warming up. And I was like, no, bye. I think they were just making sure that as soon as there was a problem, they were going to get ready. But anyway, let's get to the negative stuff. Injuries Suck is going to lead off the show. There were some fans in the chat asking about Injuries Suck, and I said, yes, in fact, that will lead off the show. Charge the Mound has taken a back seat because the injury epidemic continues in Major League Baseball. Just this weekend alone, we have Shane Bieber undergoing season-ending Tommy John surgery, which sucks. He is a free agent after this season. We'll get into the team impact for all of these injuries as well. There is significant damage to the elbow of Spencer Strider, best strikeout artist in our sport today among starting pitchers. It does not look good for him. I mean, there's even some others.
Well, Garrett Cole has UCL, and he's so far avoided Tommy John.
Right. They lost Loaisiga. Elbow surgery for the Yankees.
Right. I mean,
there's some other dudes that might have problems too. Did you see Gossman the other day get lifted after like the second inning?
He had a shoulder in spring training.
But 3 miles an hour down on his heater.
He also threw
doesn't look right.
He also threw one right down the middle that certain umpire called a ball.
We're going to get into that too. Here's David O'Brien on Strider. It wasn't good, said Brian Snitker, manager of the Atlanta Braves. Shows damage to the ulnar collateral ligament. So we'll get into the individuals and the team impact. Kratz, let's start with the global impact because it's not just Major League Baseball. It's not just the pros or college or high school. It's Little League too. We have injury after injury to arms in our sport. And it does seem like it's getting worse. I know it's been a problem for a while, but it's never good when it continues to be more of a problem. And it looks like we're on pace for more elbow surgeries than ever.
Doesn't seem like it is getting worse. There's been 52 Tommy John surgeries, I think, this year. 52 compared to...
I think that's the pace, dude.
Oh, their pace? I was wrong on that.
At the current, Dan Clark put that one out. At this pace, we'll be at 52 in Major League Baseball. Yes.
That, to me, 31 up from the average of 25 last year is a huge jump. But if we hit 52, we're just on pace for it. If we hit that, it's an epidemic. And to me, the biggest, as much as people are going to say, oh, well, now Shane Bieber's not going to make $25 million a year. Yes, $25 million a year is bad for Shane Bieber to miss out on. All these pitchers, Yuri Perez, Alcantara, all guys that are down with Tommy John surgery right now are missing out on a lot of money. But you talk about the global game of baseball, the actual game of Major League Baseball, missing out on so many fans because if your team isn't playing, if I'm a Phillies fan and I'm watching the Phillies, I'll watch them no matter who's throwing. Bullpen game, they throw a position player out there. I'll watch them because they're my team. If I'm looking at another game the first thing I do is not look to see who's leading off or hitting third. It's who's pitching. Ooh, that looks like a good matchup. And when you have all these guys down, notable names down, and there's a chance there could be more, it hurts the game. It hurts viewership to watch the entire league in general.
Well, of course. But, I mean, it sucks, but it's starting younger and younger. It's starting at younger ages. Kids are, how many high school kids have I seen already this year having Tommy John? They're 16, 17, 18 years old. So there's something going on. Hopefully we're going to get some expert analysis, I think, tomorrow, right? We're possibly going to have one of the big doctors on that does a lot of these.
Yes.
I know a guy that I used to work with named Chuck Wolf here in Orlando has been doing a study on this for almost 10 years now. And he's come up with reasons why. And he's seen a bunch of rehab guys from Tommy John and pro. He's worked with a ton of pro guys and amateur guys that have had it. And he has a different theory on hip mobility. Because a lot of guys that have it, their hips don't load. So when they hit their foot hits, they spin, which puts all the torque on the elbow. So, I mean, he has a different thing that I haven't heard anybody talk about. And he's done study after study. He studied, I don't know, he says 80% or something of the guys he studied have this problem. So, I mean, again, people are saying pitch clock. Okay. People are saying velocity. Okay. People are saying weighted balls. People are saying this. People are saying that. Like, nobody really... Problem is nobody knows. It's not going to end until we try to figure out a reason to do it. And it starts for me at the younger ages. You got to figure out a way. Do we go back to start? I mean, if you saw Justin Verlander's comments, starters have to go deeper in games. They don't go all out on every pitch. And I mean, I know that's the way pitching coaches and organizations want you to do it, but do we go back to, again, I've talked about this, where you make your starters learn how to get through the third time through and not give everything they have on every single pitch. I don't know what the answers are, but someone's got to figure something out, because this is crazy. There's too many guys going down. Too many guys are on their second Tommy John. Too many guys are having their first, and it's big name guys. That's the thing. It's not like, I mean, not that anyone in the major leagues isn't the guy, but these are like the stars that are going down.
What's the common thread? I agree. Maybe there's hip mobility issues. Maybe, shoulder range of motion, IR range of motion, all that stuff. But what's the common thread? Because nobody had hip mobility back in the 80s, and there wasn't as many Tommy John surgeries. Was there as many UCL tears back then, and we just didn't know about it? I'm assuming I played 3/4 of my career with an 80% torn UCL. Last time my elbow ever hurt was 2005. In 2017, I got an MRI all my own because I couldn't straighten my arm or bend my arm bend my arm completely. And they went in there, found bone chips in there. And they also said, when they went in to get the bone chips, they go, "Does your elbow ever hurt you?" I was like, "Never. It never hurts." I woke up that morning and it didn't bend or straighten out. I said, and he said, "Oh, because you have an 80% torn UCL. Like, it's almost all the way gone." So when that happened, I don't know.
You see the fighting?
What fighting?
MLB versus MLBPA.
Oh, yeah. Well, listen, it's all about negotiations. I mean,
over injuries, like, can I kindly say, stop, enough. We don't need to hear about the labor strike or the labor strife every single day about everything. So let's do the PA first. Despite unanimous player opposition and significant concerns regarding health and safety, the commissioner's office reduced the length of the pitch clock last December, just one season removed from imposing the most significant rule change in decades. Since then, our concerns about the health impacts of reduced recovery time have only intensified. The league's unwillingness thus far to acknowledge or study the effects of these profound changes is an unprecedented threat to our game and its most valuable asset, the players. MLB's reply: this statement ignores the empirical evidence and much more significant long-term trend over multiple decades of velocity and spin increases that are highly correlated with arm injuries. Nobody wants to see pitchers get hurt in this game, which is why MLB is currently undergoing a significant comprehensive research study into the causes of this long-term increase, interviewing prominent medical experts across baseball, which baseball, which to date has been consistent with an independent analysis by Johns Hopkins University that found no evidence to support that the introduction of the pitch clock has increased injuries. In fact, JHU found no evidence that pitchers who worked quickly in 2023 were more likely to sustain an injury than those who worked less quickly on average. JHU also found no evidence that pitchers who sped up their pace were more likely to sustain an injury than those who did not. Now, remember, we have that story from Ken Rosenthal with Dr. Meester, who we might speak with soon, who said he's seeing more significant arm injuries in the past year. It's not about the number of injuries, which we're also seeing go up, but he's saying he's seeing worse damage within the elbow injuries when he goes under the hood.
But, okay. As much as I want to agree with the union on this one, like the pitch clock, and I know Max Scherzer said it and some other people have come out and said it, isn't it just a combination of all these factors coming in together? It's not just the pitch clock. It's not just this. It's not just that. I mean, the pitch clock's easy to blame because the numbers are there, but a lot of these guys are on their second one from last year, right? I mean, DeGrom, second one, right? Dustin May, second one. There's a lot of guys that are on their second one. So they were hurt before. And they say the second one lasts, 5 to 7 years usually? Or something like that. And then that's what DeGrom had, and then whammo, he had it again.
This point I understand. It's like we're already pushing it, right?
We're pushing human limits is what we're doing, right? We're pushing velocity limits. We're pushing, I got to rip this slider. I got to rip this fastball down.
Now do it quicker.
And then do it faster. Okay, fine. But there's guys like Mark Burley, Justin Verlander always worked fairly quickly. I mean, he didn't have arm problems until he got older. I mean,
but Burley didn't throw 100.
But he did early in his career. He threw harder than, people would just remember him as a thumber. But he was in the low 90s early in his career. It wasn't like he was always 85. There's more to it, but no one knows. And until there's not enough data out there either on any of this. It's been 1 year of the pitch clock just because the injuries went up. I guarantee there's a year you can pick out somewhere along the way where, hey, there was more obliques. Well, was it because something changed? I don't know. More hamstrings. I don't know. It just sucks because this is such a major blow. And because the guys miss so much time, right? They miss a full year and longer sometimes. It's like if you have this now, you're almost missing this year and most of next year.
That could be the case with Strider. If Strider has to go under the knife again, he's probably not back until
the
middle of next year.
And he already had it, didn't he? Didn't he already have Tommy John?
Already had it about 5 years ago.
See, there you go. So was this the pitch clock or was this the cadaver ligament or wherever he got it from?
No, our game is fucked. Actually, the answer from the player side, in my mind, Kratz, should be, hey, we've had a problem for a while. It's getting worse, and teams don't care because they value velocity when they're scouting. They value pitch shape when they're scouting. They value changing you when they acquire you if need be. The Red Sox are a good example right now. They're pitching well in the first week or so, better than some expected. They're throwing like way more secondary pitches. Like they're changing the arsenal from some of these guys, which also could be a little bit of smoke and mirrors. But point is, a guy comes over and they're like, oh, we love your slider. Let's throw it 80% of the time. Or, hey, let's try and get a few more ticks of velocity on you, which AJ alluded to the other day. Let's chuck that weighted ball all day long. All of that shit probably is not good for you.
And what players are standing up and being like, you know what? I know you guys have really, really helped a lot of pitchers. In my situation, I had a 5 ERA last year. I know you guys brought me over to do better. I'm not going to listen. I want to stay healthy. Nobody's lining up to say that. So whose fault is it? It's just like when I voted down for collisions at the plate. As a catcher, you would think I would have said, no, definitely eliminate collisions at the plate. I saw it as a value as somebody who got 140 at-bats per season, played about 60 games, started about 40 of them. I saw it as a value for me to stay in the big leagues, to be able to withstand a collision, and I blocked the plate as hard as I could block the plate with all 250 pounds of me. Did I know the injury risk? I did know the injury risk. So is there a happy medium? I'm sure there is something there. But I know as a player, if you strive to make the big leagues and you strive to win and be the best player, not even talking about contracts, just talking about be the best player that you can be in the big leagues, you're going to take that risk.
Well, here's my thing. Matt Whistler. Matt Whistler's a guy I played with, caught his debut, did his whole deal when he came up with the Braves, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
He went to the Rays. He was a starter, and he was a mid-starter. I mean, he wasn't a great guy, but he was a serviceable major league starter.
5.
Yeah, he was a 4 to 5 guy, depending on what team he's on, but he was a serviceable major league starter. He goes to the Rays, and they're like, you're throwing nothing but sliders. His pitch chart was like 98% slider, 2% fastball. And then he pitched there for a year, had a good year, gone. Like, then it was just gone. Just fell off the earth. I don't even know where he is.
Fell off the earth.
Well, that too. But, I mean, it's like, gosh, that's what teams do. The teams think that there's just
do teams do it?
No, there is just infinity amount of pitchers out there that they can just, all right, we'll go to the next one. 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 I mean, it's just, and again, no player is going to say, well, no, I don't want to improve myself. I'll be the one guy that doesn't get hurt, right? There's always in the back of your mind, I'm going to be the guy that can change the narrative. I'm going to be the guy, because if you don't have that thought in your head, you're not going to make it to the highest level. So you're always like, oh, they think I can do this. Well, my arm's never hurt in the past. I can do this. It won't hurt now. And then all of a sudden, guys like, ow, trainer, right? But that's the way it is.
Tell me this, AJ. Do you think you had things, and obviously we're talking about a catcher who caught 135 games, more than any catcher nowadays. Do you feel like you had any issues internally that you never got checked out because you were like, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and just play through this.
I mean, I had plenty of times where I played when I probably shouldn't have played with it. I mean, I broke my wrist. I played 2 weeks later with a broken wrist. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind. I mean, I was like, oh, I can play. I'm going to play. I mean, I remember when I was in Minnesota, I caught a spike. I slid into first on like a weird play, and I clipped my bottom. That's why I stopped wearing metal spikes. But I clipped my spike in it, and I was supposed to have ankle surgery, but I didn't. And it still would bother me every once in a while. But that's why I wear plastic spikes. Like, I mean, I went in, and after the season, I got traded to the Giants, and I went into the doctor, and I'm like, man, this ankle's really bothering me. And they're like, well, you should have surgery. And I'm like, well, how long am I going to be out? And they're like, 3 to 4 months. And I'm like, yeah, no, we'll just figure it out. I'm not fast anyway, so I don't really need that ankle. Right?
Who made the decision?
Me.
Who made the decision?
Me. I made the decision. I was like, yeah, no. Actually, it was after my San Francisco year. So this was 2 years after I heard it. They went in. I went into the doctor in LA, and I was like, my ankle's killing me. And they're like, you should have surgery. And I was like, no. And I was going to be a free agent. I knew. So I was like, I don't want to go into the free agency on crutches with a surgically repaired ankle. Yeah. So I was like, no, I'm fine. I'm good. I played all year on it, and I can play with it. And then, but yeah, there was many a times where I was like hurt.
Yeah, but this is like asking pitchers to chill or to take care of yourself when you only get valued a certain way. So I'll bring up 2 examples. One is Dr. James Andrews said these kids are throwing 90 miles an hour their junior year of high school. The ligament itself can't withstand this kind of force. We've learned in our research lab that baseball is a developmental sport. The Tommy John ligament matures at about age 26. In high school, the red line where the forces go beyond the tensile properties of the ligament is about 80 miles an hour. But many people brought up on social media, good luck telling a high schooler to throw 80 miles an hour. He'll get torched at most high schools, and he wouldn't even get into a Division III school unless he's the ultimate knuckleballer or some shit. So that plus Justin Verlander getting asked about his thoughts on this situation. Here we go.
Justin, what are your thoughts on just the last couple of days? We've seen a bunch of pitchers go down with injuries. There's been blame on both sides. What do you think?
I don't know, man. It's tough. I think the game has changed a lot. I think it'd be easy to sit here and blame the pitch clock. I think in reality, you put everything together, and everything has a little bit of influence. I think the biggest thing is the style of pitching has changed so much. Everybody's throwing as hard as they possibly can, and spinning the ball as hard as they possibly can. And, it's hard to deny those results. Obviously, how can you? It's a double-edged sword. How can you tell somebody to go out there and not do that when they're capable of throwing 100? And this young guy comes up and throws a pitch 95 and gives up a big homer, and everybody's like, "What the hell, man?" You want to go play D1, now you got to throw hard and you got to spin the ball well. You want to go to the minor leagues, you got to throw hard, spin the ball well. And it all starts from here down. The second that you start incentivizing pitching and guys are getting drafted because they can pitch and get guys out, then that goes down a level, and then down a level and down a level. And I just hope that we don't wait too long, because it's obviously a pandemic, and it's going to take years to work itself out, because everybody right now, Little League on, go look no further than Instagram. I can't look at my Instagram feed without seeing, some kids trying to learn how to throw as hard as they can at 10 years old. I sure as hell didn't do that. I didn't figure it out until college. I matured into my body. I was, I say it all the time. If I came up in today's world, I don't know what would happen. My mechanics were a little different. I was tall, lanky, lean, skinny, lean, weird, kind of hadn't hit my maturity. Went to college, didn't get drafted, went to college, and kind of grew into myself, and all of a sudden started throwing hard. But it wasn't because I did some, program to make me throw harder. So it's hard.
That's why he's been pitching forever. But he nailed it on that point. It's going to take years to unwind this.
It is, but here's the other thing. Everything there, the quote is longer now. We only had a minute and a half. It's like 4 minutes. If you listen to the whole thing, everything he says is true. Yep. It's a really good, thought-out quote. His hat's fire. Kratz doesn't have that hat, so suck it, Kratz. But that hat was fire. That's an A hat. You should mix in one of those. But I think it's Space Cowboys or whatever they are in Sugarland. But the thing he said at the end, where he's like, I get my Instagram feed and every kid's trying to throw harder. Well, that's the thing. Everybody's chasing velocity. Everyone's doing pull downs where they run 20 yards and, I threw 90 miles an hour. Yeah, but when in baseball are you ever going to do that? Like, at what point are you ever going to do that? You're not. There's no point where a pitcher goes, it's not cricket where the guy's like, and they put the radar guys like, I hit 90, cool, right? It doesn't translate.
But scouts dig that.
I understand that, but here's the thing. And I know Mark, our producer, is like, growing up, we didn't throw as hard. And Verlander said that. Like, you didn't go max effort. You were like, all right, how can if I can throw 85 miles an hour and control it, or I can throw 90 and go phew, 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 all over the place. Now that scouts would rather see you throw 90 and throw 8 balls. Hey, hit 90, I can put him in there, rather than the guy that can go 85 and can go shoo, shoo. Plus kids, weren't throwing curveballs till later because we were told not to do it. Now everyone's like, there's like, turn on TV and there's like these 8-year-olds going, curveball, slider, changeup, two-seamer. Like, you're like, wait a second. But if you throw it proper, you should be okay. That might be true, but everything has just changed.
Yeah, and even if you get the kids to stop, if Dr. James Andrews says you're not fixing that until you're 26, then what, you're going to hold guys off for that long? No freaking way.
No
you
chance.
Just won't get discovered. All right, let's bring in our first guest. We've got a good list today. Rhys Hoskins of the Milwaukee Brewers joining the show for the first time. Rhys, what's up, dude? How you doing? Oh, really? You're gonna
sorry,
go right
I had something in my eyes.
What's up, dude?
He's muted anyway.
I think you're muted. One sec. Let's try again. Oh, you got to unmute. You're on mute. We're telling him. Stand by.
All right. Oh,
I heard some noise. Rhys.
Oh, no.
There? Is that better?
There we go.
Yeah, there we go.
There's
all right,
voice.
now you can trash talk, AJ. Go ahead.
No, I love it, man. You're going right to it. There's nothing like, re-entering yourself back in the conversation in the big leagues, but I'm just happy to be back out there and competing with these guys.
I mean, it only took you one game to reintroduce yourself.
Well, apparently it's a big deal to play the game hard. That's just the way that I was taught. That's the way I was brought up in the minor leagues. And I don't really feel like I need to apologize for that. I'm never trying to hurt anybody. Let me tell you that first and foremost, especially having gone through an injury where, I missed a full year. But I am trying to get an extra at bat for my team and, late in an inning just to see if we can get some more runs, because winning baseball games at the big league level is really, really hard, and you need all the opportunities you can get.
I love it.
Dude, are you kidding me? I love it. I've been through it. I did the same thing. I got chucked out once for the same thing back when you could actually touch a guy, though. So I get it. I had no problem with anything you did. I had no problem with it. I loved it. I mean, Kratz and I are on the same page, I think. Like, I loved it when a dude tried to run me over at home plate. That was the plays I lived for. So I'm all for it. Like, bring back this stuff. I mean, what you did wasn't dirty at all, I didn't think. I mean, it was just clean, good, hard baseball. So good for you.
We've also had how many? 5 to 7 players on since that happened, and every single one of them said the exact same thing. They were like, good, clean slide, look good, keep it up. Hey, for you, Rhys, I mean, it's awesome to have you back. So was it You mentioned an interesting way to get welcomed right back to the show. Did that kind of fire you up? Because I know how badly you missed, not being out there last year.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Having a well, I guess just getting back into playing in New York. Obviously, playing in Philly for the first part of my career, play a lot of games there. You understand what that type of atmosphere is like, especially opening weekend, opening day there. So yeah, it was great. Kind of throw yourself right into the fire. Don't give yourself any time to think about what's going on, and just kind of get right in there. It was a good way to go.
Obviously, we have a lot of lip readers, and you could pretty much hear it from Philadelphia as loud as McNeil was yelling. Did you know you were a dirty player and they thought you were a dirty player? Did you have other issues? The only thing I remember watching in New York was the time that you got hit and then you hit the dinger and you were like, you essentially gave him the AJ Pierzynski, suck it at home plate as you slow trotted. But I've watched most of your career since we played against each other in 17, and I'll be honest, I don't know that I would have ever considered you a dirty player. But did you ever hear that before?
Yeah, that was news to me. But I guess it's, I don't know if you ever want to be considered a dirty player, but if you're getting that from your opponent, you're probably doing a few things right on the field. So, yeah, that was news to me, man. Like I said, I'm just trying to play the game the way I was taught and the way I was brought up.
I love it. All right, so I got to ask two quick questions. One, it's McNeil's birthday, so you're probably not sending him a birthday card. So
this is his birthday.
It's his birthday today.
Right. This
was his birthday present. But so I was in a situation like this in Tampa. I told the story, and they threw at me, but they waited like a game, right? Like, so I went up to the plate the next at bat, and I was like, all right, they're going to hit me. Let's get it over with. And then when they didn't, I felt like they lost their chance. Well, they threw at you. You were 3 for 3 with a homer and 4 RBIs and a hell of a bat flip and all that stuff, right? I know it went up in this area, but like for me, I was like, that's crap on the Mets for waiting. Like, if you want to hit a guy, hit him, get me, and then we move on. But like to wait and then to go up here, that was the problem I had with the whole situation.
I think you're exactly right. There's been a way that this game has policed itself. I said that in my post game after it. But there's just been a way that it's been done, and when done correctly, teams move on, and the game keeps on keeping on after that. I don't know if there was warnings issued before the game, so I understand, the opposing team not wanting to get their starter thrown out in the first couple innings, especially early in the year, trying to keep everybody fresh, but again, I think that if you feel like you need to hit a guy because something has happened that you as a team didn't like, you hit him in the thigh, you hit him in the butt, the guy drops his bat, he goes to first base, and that's it. You move on, and that didn't happen. So yeah, I was surprised, honestly, that it came in my fourth at bat. Regardless of what I had done in the game, I happened to have already a good game at that point, so it just made everything look a little bit worse, and I think that's probably the perspective that I'm coming from.
Speaking of having a good game, tell me your ranking of top 3 20-year-olds that you've ever played with or played against, and where does Churio land in all those?
Yeah, not many 20-year-olds, right? Like that list is already short. It's pretty incredible to see what this guy's doing. Let's see, I'm trying to remember where I was at in 20. I think I was struggling at Sac State, in my sophomore year. So to see this guy just kind of get thrust right in, bat and lead off in his debut in a hostile environment, and didn't seem to faze him. Like he's always got a smile on his face. He's always working. And just to see him have some success right away is really cool to see his confidence grow. But man, I guess Acuna was up there, pretty young at a young age. I didn't get to see Trout, right when he got into the big leagues. But, if you're in the big leagues at 20, you're there for a reason. You got a lot of talent. And, a couple of those other names I just said turned out to be some pretty good players. So I'm excited to see what this guy's got.
Rhys, obviously we all know you as a Philly. Is it weird to be with a different ball club? And can you take us through the free agent experience? At least you knew like Philly wasn't going to be the spot. There were other teams calling. They were going to have offers. And Bryce was going to play first. All good. I had heard the Cubs were in conversations. Take us through all that and then what it's like now.
Yeah. Obviously my time in Philly is something that I'll always remember, I'll always hold close to my heart. I have really great relationships with a lot of people over there within the clubhouse and just within the organization, that I'll look forward to getting to continue on in a different fashion now. But the free agent process was slow for the most part. I kind of had to curb a little bit of my expectations just because coming off a pretty significant injury, there's just so much more unknown. So a little different than what I expected, mostly slow. A couple teams would call kind of right around the same time. The stove, I guess you could say, would be hot for a couple days and then kind of shut down a little bit. And then a couple weeks later, same type of thing would happen. The Cubs rumor was pretty early on and didn't really, come into anything after that. But I had a couple teams call relatively early and just kind of ask for some medical history, get a good update about where I was with my knee. And then right about New Year's, the Brewers and Mark Antonaccio got in contact with my agency, and just kind of stayed in touch basically until we signed. And I'm not surprised by that just because of the constant, communication. And they were really upfront with me and my agent about what they were looking for, and what they could provide in terms of a contract. So in the same way that I appreciated Philly, coming and being upfront with me about not giving me a qualifying offer and, just not letting me wonder if I was going to go back there, giving me a little bit of closure. The Brewers were so upfront with me and honest with me from the get-go that, you want to feel wanted, of course, but you want as much transparency as you can with the business side of baseball. And I got that from the Brewers. So stoked to be here. It's new, but it's feeling less new and new every day. And that mostly has to do with the people within the clubhouse. We got an awesome group. We got a really youthful group. So with that comes a lot of energy that I'm stoked to be around. But I'm excited that we're getting into these nuances of the game that haven't necessarily been, part of some game plans in the past that I've on teams that I've been on. So different, but not weird by any means anymore, just because the guys in this clubhouse.
When you were going through this process and you signed with Milwaukee, was there an expectations that, hey, Rhys Hoskins is here now, we're going to keep Corbin Burns? Did they mention that at any point? And were you surprised when after you signed, they're like, oh, we traded him?
Yeah, I mean, they were up front with me from the get-go. When I signed, that was my understanding that, the guys that we had, we were going to give at least, one more go of it. For this season, we got a couple pending free agents. Corbin was one of those. So, yeah, I was surprised to see Corbin go. But, at the end of the day, the Brewers have a pretty successful recipe on how to win and how to win pretty consistently over the long term. Obviously, it has a lot to do with the development that these guys have with their young guys and just able to churn out, pretty top arms year in and year out. I think it has mostly to do with just a testament to the depth that these guys have within our organization. Obviously, you never want to see a bona fide ace leave your staff. But in order to have some sustained success here in a smaller market, those are kind of the types of moves that have to happen.
What's one of the major differences from the Phillies to where you're at now in the sense of what you were talking about of how the team's going to have success when everybody around them is like, I don't know, like how are you guys going to do this?
Well, I think it starts on the bump. Again, like I said, we have, Freddie Peralta's one of the nastier guys in the league, underrated, not talked about enough in my opinion. But then you just have young guys come in and fill roles, and they're ready when they get here, right? They're ready to contribute right away. Another thing I would say is just like, we run a lot as a team. And that's not something that we necessarily did in Philly, not because of the personnel, not because we didn't have the guys that could run, but, trying to make less outs on the bases because of some of the bats that we had in the lineup there in Philly. So we're putting pressure on teams different ways here in Milwaukee. And I think, over the first 8-9 games, I think the league has seen that. And we've been able to have some success, I think, because of it.
Where does Patches O'Houlihan rank in your managers that you've had? I mean, you've gone from Girardi, Cat, you had Gabe, you had Girardi, you had Topper. Where does Patches O'Houlihan, Murphy, where does he stand in your list of managers? Weird and good things that he does.
Well, I think you hit it right. Like there's a really good balance there of keeping the clubhouse light with some of the off the wall weird things that are going on, weird comments throughout the game that you kind of just like bring you back to the moment, I think. And he talks about that a lot. Is what can we do to win tonight? Not worrying about whatever your numbers are saying or who we're facing tomorrow, or we got a big series upcoming next week against a divisional opponent. No, it's what can we do to win tonight? And I think, the way that Murph goes about his business, keeps the clubhouse light, just keeps us where our feet are. And that's a hard thing to do as a manager over a long season. But, through his many years of baseball experience at the college level and pro level, he's figured out a really, effective way to do that for all types of players. Young, obviously we have a 20-year-old, and, we have Wade Miley, who's been in the league as long as anybody can remember. So effectively communicating with a really different group of guys is something that Murph's, perfected over his career. And that's why guys tend to gravitate towards him.
Hey, Rhys, I never thought I was going to say this to you, but next year at some point, you're going to play in your hometown. What'd you think of the Sacramento news with the A's? Because you've probably got a little bit of a different spin on it since you're from there and you went to Sacramento State.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I'm stoked for Sacramento, the city. I've been to many River Cats games over my lifetime, and it's always a wonderful place to go watch a baseball game in the summer. So, because of that, I think that you're going to see some people in the stands there. I'm bummed for, the A's. I'm bummed for Oakland. As nice as that stadium is, it's not a big league stadium. They're not big league facilities. So, I'm bummed for those guys in that organization that they're going to lose out on that for a couple years. But I'm excited to see what Sacramento can do just to rally around, something new. They as a city have been trying to attract more professional sports teams, having only the Sacramento Kings. So I'm excited to see what they can do as an audition.
All right, you saw it for years. You went back, you were at Philly. Guys that played there would come back. You know how they greet guys who used to play in Philly. Are you going to get booed when you go back to Philly?
My guess is yes. My guess is yes. My guess is yes. I'm hoping. I don't know if hope is the right word, but if I'm getting booed, it probably means that the Brewers are doing something to be winning the game or to win the game. So I'll kind of root for that as a way to make sure that we, the Brewers, are coming out on top. But I'm excited to go back. I'm excited to see all those guys, those relationships that I've talked about. I'm excited to compete against them, wearing a different uni. But I said this when I signed. I hope the Brewers win at the end of the day.
Rhys, do you think they win the World Series if you're there last year? And second, if you hit a home run, let's say you hit a home run off Wheeler or Nola or Ranger Suarez or whoever you guys face, will you spike your bat?
Oh.
Probably will not spike the bat.
Damn it. That is not the answer I wanted.
that's we'll save those for those really, really big moments, those
But a big moment,
outbursts.
they're booing you. You hit a homer, Nola hangs you a curveball, and you're just like, ha ha, yeah.
If we're in the playoffs, it's probably a different discussion
Okay.
about what will come out in terms of celebration, just because the emotions are heightened. But yeah, I'm thinking probably not a bat spike. But hopefully have the opportunity. We'll see what comes out.
All right, my first question: do you think Philly wins the World Series if you're healthy last year?
I mean, I think we have a good chance.
You can say yes. It's okay. You can dig yourself, dude. This is dig yourself time.
I've learned over my career that I had a chance to play in the World Series with a phenomenal team. It's hard. It's just hard. Like, it's the hardest thing to do in the game, to be the last one standing. If I had a crystal ball, I would be able to tell you more perfectly, but I feel like we would have a better chance than we did if I was healthy. But I guess we'll never know. Got a chance here with the Brewers now to win a World Series.
Rhys, I want to finish with this. Can we get a shout out to any plans that you have on the charity front? I know it's something near and dear to your heart all the time. I read that awesome story from Matt Gelb when you were moving over from Philly to Milwaukee, and that was official. I know you've done a lot of work with MDA, the Muscular Dystrophy Association, but just wanted to shout that out while we have the platform and a lot of people checking this out.
Yeah, I appreciate that. MDA has been something that has been near and dear to me and my wife's life, going all the way back to high school. We're lucky enough that we don't have anybody in our immediate or extended family that are affected by these neuromuscular diseases. But our goal in Milwaukee is just the same as it was in Philly, in that we're hoping to leave some sort of lasting impact on the community, away from the field. And whether that's connecting with families within the MDA organization or not, that's our goal. We haven't necessarily got anything planned this year yet, in terms of an event or anything like that. But we're going to try to have as many guests from the organization, kids, families of the kids, out to the ballpark, just so they can, have that experience as many times as they can throughout the summer. Get them out, watch BP, get them all in the same section to watch a game, have a little Q&A, that type of thing before the game. Those seem to be a lot of fun and, great ways to further those relationships with the organization. So we'll continue to do that and pick away at making an impact within the community.
That's awesome. That's great. That's great. Not only, that you do that with you and your family, and just impact in the community is something is huge. And that's awesome that you do that. But before you go, I know you're in Cincinnati right now. Will you eat the chili pregame?
Not pregame. I've learned that.
Okay, good.
Pregame.
Do not mistime your pregame chili.
Do not mistime your coffee or your chili in Cincinnati.
It is good, and you have to have it, but the timing has to be right for that. So I'll look forward to a post game tonight.
Post game, there you go.
That's a good answer.
Rhys,
yes.
Good to see you, man. Awesome to see you.
Dude, you got good pipes too, by the way. He's got good pipes.
He's got broadcaster pipes always. He knows.
I've been told face for radio, so I'll take that too.
No.
You're like Kratz, face for radio, but you have the voice.
Nah, handsome man.
Yep.
Great to see you, dude. Great to have you on. Keep crushing it, and we'll catch you down the road, all right?
Yeah, thanks, guys. Appreciate your time as always. And yeah, look forward to seeing you guys down the summer.
Same here. Absolutely. We'll make a trip. Thank you. Rhys Hoskins joining us on FT. That was great. Yeah, we'll catch him on the road at some point. Do you have any Brewers games? Do you know? On the immediate schedule or not really?
Look, I was supposed to have one in Milwaukee, but it's the weekend my daughter graduates high school. So
that's a conflict.
Yeah,
kind of can make that one.
You're gonna miss that game. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'll fill in for you with my beautiful face.
And your Brewers connection.
And you have a lot of Brewers connection. Milwaukee.
I can't afford me.
I'm looking.
Sam.
I actually do have them, but I think it's on the road.
In
That's fine.
Philly.
We'll see Rhys.
Say it. Say it with your chest. In Philly.
No, it's in San Diego, so no, it's not in Philly.
Yeah.
AJ is Mr. San Diego.
Oh, they huge in San Diego.
Hey, they have a good audience. Hey, let's get to Hot Corner. We have a lot to get to. So I want to carry over our conversation from the top of the show in a different way before we dive into Hot Corner topics. We did not talk about the personal and team side of some of the injuries that popped up. So just give me your quick take on the Braves potentially losing Strider for a year and a half if it ends up being the disaster scenario. And the Guardians are not going to have Shane Bieber if they were a wild card contender, nor will they have him as a trade chip. So, he had a nice run with Cleveland, but it sucks. It's a shitty ending also for him as a free agent.
I think each injury is relative. I think the Guardians not getting that draft pick is really, draft pick or trade chip is a huge, it's a big miss for them. It's a big miss for them. That's how this organization tries to stay sustainable. For the Braves, I'm sitting here looking at it and going, do they still have a great shot at the World Series? Absolutely. Does it change how they're going to look at next year's free agency? Absolutely. Max Fried might have just upped his value with the Braves. Corbin Burns might look good in Braves colors. So because this team is built to win now and for the next 6 to 7 years based on the guys that they have locked up, this is a significant injury, not to just this season, but how this team continues to move forward as, how they're built.
Are the Braves?
I'll say this. Thank goodness they got Chris Sale because he's looked great.
He does. Nasty, right? But, dude, this is the guy.
This was their guy, but he also for some reason in the postseason got whacked by the Phillies. That was strange.
Well, 2 years ago he was coming. Is that what you're talking about?
Well, 2 years ago he was hurt, but then last year they lost with him and he pitched twice. And they lost both games. Now, granted, they didn't score any runs.
Recently, right?
Yeah, but still they lost. Listen, this was everybody's pick for strikeout leader. Possible Cy Young in the National League. I mean, this is a big blow for the Braves if he's out for not only this year, but he could possibly miss a ton of time next year. So, I mean, Fried, Morton, Sale, whoever they're going to get to fill Strider's spot. I mean, these people have to step up. Don't forget they traded Soroka. They sent Schwarber down, right?
Yeah. There's some young dudes.
There's some young dudes, but they traded away Kyle Wright, who won 20 games for him 2 years ago. I think he's hurt. He was hurt last year. The other guy, who was the guy who made the All-Star team last year and struggled the second half?
Oh.
Bryce Elder.
Bryce Elder. Yeah.
They have Hurston Waldrop at some point.
If Hurston Waldrop pitches in the big leagues this year,
he might.
Him and Wyatt Langford, man, that's a pretty damn good Florida team.
Big jump. Yeah.
Good Reynaldo Lopez pickup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But can he last as a starter for the whole year?
No way. No. He's going to give them. But yes, for now. Yeah. I'm just what does their playoff rotation look like?
Well, Fried, Morton, Sale, that's pretty good. Yeah. 1, 2, 3 still.
I would – this is going to sound bad, but the chances of all three of those guys being healthy in October is low.
Good teams. That's what the Braves and Dodgers right now are looking to do. And maybe soon the Orioles. That's what they're looking to do. How do we win enough games in the regular season and not push it to the limit, just like we were talking about pitchers needing to push it to the limit at all times? How do we not need to push it to the limit and keep our guys healthy? And that's what the Braves will do. Maybe they'll start skipping a few starts for Charlie Morton because they have all those young guys in the minor leagues.
Are the Phillies better than the Braves as a postseason team if there's not Spencer Strider or a significant replacement?
Yes, because that's where the Braves already had a better overall pitching staff than the Braves, top to bottom. Before
the
Phillies had a better pitching staff than the Braves?
Yeah.
I beg to differ with that one.
What about if there's
no Strider?
No Strider changes things, but if you go, you can look it up. You can go put your Philly homerism aside. Would you rather have Strider?
Five Fangraphs, they all agree with me.
Again, whose bullpen do you trust more? With Iglesias, Minter, that whole crew.
Top
Pierce
to bottom?
Johnson. Yeah.
After those three guys, that's about it. The Phillies are rolling out Hoffman, Strom, Alvarado,
Sir Anthony,
and I was thinking of Soto from the left side. Like they're a deeper 7 than the Braves 7, whatever they have in the pen down there. Deeper starting rotation.
it's a good debate. Let's table it for now.
I agree.
Hey, I picked the Phils to go a long way too. I like the.
That's why I picked them to go that long, because they have depth, and now the Braves' depth is being challenged.
And
all it takes is one guy, Wheeler or Nola, to go down, and guess what?
Of course.
The Phillies' depth is shit too.
Of course. All right, let's get to our next guest. Grayson Rodriguez of the Baltimore Orioles joining us right now on FT. Grayson, good to see you, man. How's life with the Orioles going right now?
Yeah, it's been good, man. Every day in the big leagues is a good day, so that's what we'll say about it.
How much fun are you guys having? I mean, I know it was fun last year, but now you have a lot of the rookies settling in. I know there are a million more rookies coming on the way, but I mean, this is your second season in the big leagues. Do you feel like you can take a deep breath here and you know where you're going?
Yeah, like you said, we got a lot of guys in this organization. It's been a lot of fun so far this year. Obviously, second year in the big leagues, can kind of take a breath and relax a little bit. It's normal baseball again. That's what I'm used to, and so far, we've been able to go out there 2 starts and have been decent.
Do you think about it, since it's super fresh, getting sent down last year, or are you kind of like, all right, I made my trip back down to the bushes. I don't need to go back down there. Or is it still fresh in your mind?
No, I mean, it's still pretty fresh. I think it was definitely probably the best thing for me, best thing for my career. Starting off slow at spring training last year, then obviously getting called up because Bradish got hit on the foot, I think, and not really having my stuff where it needed to be, and obviously kind of not throwing how I wanted to, getting sent back down, then being able to go back down there and work on stuff, delivery, some pitch grips and stuff, and then kind of come back up and throw the ball a lot better.
What were the adjustments you made? I mean, I know pitch grips and stuff like that, but you weren't down there very long. They were talking about you being there from the get-go. Obviously, you went down. I mean, other than pitch grips, was there a mental adjustment? Was there anything physical, like with your delivery, you had to change?
Yeah, I'd say a little bit of both. Definitely a mental aspect. I've never gotten hit before like that in my career. That was something that I was having to deal with. It seemed like every time I went out, it was a failure. Obviously baseball is a game of failure. So learning how to deal with that. But like my delivery tempo wasn't where it needed to be. I wasn't moving fast enough down the mound. I like to think I move pretty athletically as a pitcher, and I just wasn't doing that. And it was pretty stiff and still, and it was causing fastball, change up, everything to be a little flat, and being able to go back, quicken that all up, and it helped a lot.
When they talk about these changes, mechanical changes, things that'll make you, quote, better, do they ever sit there and go, hey, this is going to make you better, but there's a risk for injury? Or are they like, hey, these are what's going to make you better from a pitching standpoint, go out and do it, or you'll never get back to the big leagues?
I think it's a balance. Being in the Orioles organization, I've been pretty fortunate because we've started to really, put a lot of time and effort into the pitch developing, part of the organization, call it. Like we have biomechanic, pitching coaches that look at how our bodies are moving and our risk of injury, is greatly factored into that. So being able to kind of, work on stuff like that. Like in 22, I went down for a little bit with a lat bug, and kind of being able to look at the biomechanics stuff of my delivery and being able to fix it and help stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, when we make mechanical adjustments, they're definitely factoring in health, and it's pretty cool to see that and see how they work. That they're kind of thinking of our well-being, not just going out and getting some outs or strikeouts.
So do you think it is a line that we will always teeter in baseball in the sense of like Grayson Rodriguez, super prospect, makes the big league team, goes down to the minor leagues because they want him to tweak things. If you felt like those things would have hurt you, would you have still done them based on the results you had in the big leagues? Is it worth success in the big leagues? Essentially, is what I'm asking.
I'm really not sure. Obviously, everybody wants to do well. But as long as you're feeling good and you can go out there and, pick up the baseball and throw it every 5 days, I guess you can do it. You got to do what you got to do. Especially if you're getting good results in the big leagues. That's kind of hard to get away from that. That's for sure.
All right. How old were you when you started hearing about spin rate? And then you were like, oh man, I got to get a good spin rate on my fastball. It wasn't like in Little League. Were you one? Because when I was in Little League, now granted, I'm like 20 years older than you, so it's a little bit different actually. Yeah, I'm double your age almost. We're not going to talk about it. So, but like,
you're so old.
Yeah, I'm so old. But like we were told, like you don't throw a curveball until you're like 14 and things like that. So, how old were you when this kind of stuff started? And do you think we need to make a change at the youth levels?
So, I was very fortunate growing up that my parents, coming from my dad played college baseball. My mom was a softball coach. They were very knowing about baseball. So a pitch limit and everything was always in place for me, no matter what team I played on. My dad didn't let me start throwing a curveball, I think, till I was 12 or 13. I don't know if that's just like a myth out there or whatever, but the whole curveball at 12. Didn't start throwing a curveball till I was 12. Didn't start throwing a slider until I was maybe a junior in high school, sophomore, junior in high school. Just had always kind of been fastball, changeup, not a good one, but I felt like growing up, I always had the upper hand with velocity, so that kind of carried me through Little League and stuff. But I don't know. I feel like my brother, who's a sophomore in high school now, tournament ball, travel baseball, showcases, all this stuff is pretty crazy. They're getting kids at a really young age, kind of watching him kind of grow up and seeing he's playing against the number 1 ranked 9-year-old kid. I remember he was playing in a tournament in Houston one weekend and they were like, yeah, this 9-year-old's supposed to be just incredible. And I'm like, what? But just kind of crazy like that for sure.
All right. So you're from the Houston area. You're from Nacogdoches, right? Nacogdoches. Are you the most famous professional baseball player from that town?
I would say from Nacogdoches, yes, because Brandon Belt is from 15, 20 minutes away in a town called Hudson. So Belt is definitely probably the next most famous person, more than me. But the most famous athlete from Nacogdoches is Clint Dempsey, the soccer player. So, I got a lot of work to do to catch up to him.
You forgot one guy, though. Forgot one guy.
There's number 4. Somebody's after him. That's okay.
No, there's a guy. There's a famous baseball player that had one great day in Seattle.
Oh, Humber. Philip Humber.
Yeah. Thank you.
Oh.
Humber's from there?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was working out at my training facility. I go to a place called Tyler, which is like an hour and a half away. So that's kind of why I don't really come up with that connection, because I didn't really ever get to play with Humber, but definitely saw him, throw some pins and stuff. So yeah, he's a really good guy too.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, see? I did get to play with him. I'm old.
Well, and you got the hardware right.
And we have a
growing up. I watched
Wait,
you
hold
a
on,
lot
there's-
growing up, believe
there
it or
it is.
not.
Wait, there
You
it is.
watched AJ?
Dude,
Yeah.
you weren't even born. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, no, you came and played for the Rangers, right?
I did in 2013. Yep.
Yeah, so definitely watched you with the Rangers. I grew up watching a lot of the Astros and Rangers. Remember the big elbow guard, right?
Yeah, that's right. It was grandfathered in.
I thought that was so cool. So when I was in high school, I always wanted to wear an elbow guard and stuff in Little League and whatnot. So thank you for.
Did you hit righty or lefty? Did you hit right hand?
No, I hit left-handed and right-handed thrower. So I always had the big, the big guard on just in case, take a ball to the elbow. So
that's why I started wearing it. In Double-A, I got hit, and then I was like, I need something. And I actually started with like one of those old shin guards they used to, the little with the catcher's clips. Remember those Kratz?
Oh, yeah.
I started with that, and they're like, we got something better now. They busted out this Douglas one that was like this big, and I'm like, yeah, let's go. And then Joe Torre tried to ban it, and they're like, nope,
Really?
he's grandfathered in. Nope, he gets to keep wearing it. Me and David Ortiz were the only two because we were grandfathered in. And we wore it till we died.
Damn.
Yeah. So
Didn't Bonds have the big
no,
guard?
Barry Bonds had one that was like Kevlar. Like it was like he was the only one. It was like specially fit to his arm, like molded. I mean, that thing was like bulletproof.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
his
was
arm
Evo
was like
Shield.
he was like this over the
that thing,
dish.
he got
Grayson,
hit.
he'd be like, Grayson, I don't care how hard you throw, bro. Do not throw one into him because he will hit it a mile.
that's crazy that they would like try to ban elbow guards. Like, I mean, now everybody wears Evo shields. I mean, heck, most guys that go up to the plate looks like they're in catcher's gear, especially like they got the long Evo shields with the double straps now, and all that kind of stuff. So
Cost Scherzer a perfect game. Remember the guy Tabata?
Joey T. Jose
Just
Tabata.
nicked it. So who was your guy growing up? Who was your favorite pitcher growing up? You better say Phil Humber. I'm gonna call him.
yeah,
And
had the perfect game, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's the mask. Wait, where's right there?
Yeah,
Other
there
way.
you go. There you go. Favorite pitchers growing up, man. I remember a lot of Oswalt, some Clemens, Hamels. Let's see. Cliff Lee is like my dark horse that I liked watching with the Rangers. Cliff Lee and what was the other lefty? C.J. Wilson, right?
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
there's another guy. Remember the red glove. Always wanted a red glove. My dad wouldn't let me have it. Watch some of those guys growing up for sure. So,
Wait, were you a Rangers or Astros fan? Because you grew up outside Houston.
well, so I live 2 hours north of Houston and 3
Okay.
hours southeast of Dallas. So I'm almost like in the middle. And
Okay.
that's like the perfect spot because you get back before all the streaming stuff and whatnot, like we actually had like the Astros network and the Rangers network. So we get to watch both games. Baseball was on the TV every night at my house. So got to watch
That's
a lot
funny.
of that.
Some spots in the country, they get like no games and they complain about the blackouts. And then some spots they get
them all.
multiple teams.
Yeah.
So you were in the
Sure.
gold region. Grayson, I want to ask you about the team under new ownership. So my question just for the players is, did they talk to you yet? Like, did one of the new owners come and say hello? Have you met any of them yet? Because I know they're excited. I know some people around that group. They've been buying beers for people around town. It seems like a fun vibe there now, as if it already wasn't.
Yeah, we met a lot of them on opening day. They were at the game, came down in the clubhouse, addressed the players. Mr. Rubenstein's phenomenal, very nice guy. So far, a lot of those guys have been, pretty great. Getting to meet them and stuff. They've been pretty interactive. I know Mr. Rubenstein was in Pittsburgh where we just were. So that's pretty cool to see. Obviously they're big Orioles fans. We see, Cal a lot at the ballpark. He's usually sitting behind home plate, which is pretty cool. We got to play. A good bit of us got to play with his son, Ryan Ripken. Seeing them a lot. But, the ownership, definitely some good people. So, we're kind of glad to have them. It's been a pretty cool process.
Where were you when you found out about the Burns trade?
I was in my kitchen at home making dinner. My best friend, one of my best friends who was in my wedding, DL Hall, was a piece of that trade, and my phone was like blowing up. I could feel, I could hear it like buzzing on the counter. And then my wife is really good friends with his fiance, and she answered the phone and she was like, "What?" And then I could tell something was wrong. And that's when I had figured out DL was going to the Brewers before, it had been announced or whatever. And I was like, "Oh crap, we just got Burns." So it was pretty cool to see. It was pretty crazy.
You don't got a chef? You ain't got a chef cooking for you? You got to cook
Not
your
yet.
own meals?
He was just in the bushes last year.
I've only got
Dude, he signed for like $20 million.
140 days in the big leagues. Okay, I haven't even hit a year yet, so I got to get to a year. I got to get to a year before I get a chef.
He was a bonus baby, though.
He's still dressing up. He's still dressing up on the rookie dress up. Don't get it twisted.
Yeah.
They don't do that anymore. Kratz. They're not allowed to do that anymore.
But also he's already probably like in the top 10 of oldest Orioles because there's like a bunch of 20-year-olds coming up.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, I don't know that you want to pitch against Norfolk right now. I mean,
hell no.
They're
That's a
hitters.
big league team.
We
watched about that.
Yeah, we've been keeping up with their scores. We watch it in the clubhouse and stuff. And dude, we just laugh. Like, I mean, it's crazy because this organization is stacked. Like, I mean, it's pretty funny. Like the other night, or it might have been, it was like 2 nights ago, maybe, I don't know. We like get back on the bus after the game, and the hitting coaches are watching. The big league hitting coaches are watching, obviously, the game. And they're like, "Oh, what's the score?" And they're like 10-0. They're like, "Oh, what inning is it?" And they're like, "It's top of the first." It's just brutal. I mean, I would hate to have to face that lineup. I mean, it's stout, that's for sure.
Does that team beat certain big league teams? Can they beat some big league teams in a best of 3 series? I mean, think about it. There's probably 5-6 guys in the starting lineup alone that could get called up today and be an impact big leaguer right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like, those are guys I've played with. Those are some of my close friends. I'd like to think they can. They're very talented. They can swing the bat. It's pretty crazy. And the ball doesn't fly in Norfolk. Like, people don't realize that. Like, pitching in Norfolk is a plus because the stadium's right on the harbor. The wind is always blowing in. Like, the flags are stiff. I mean, every night, like, the wind's blowing in off the water. And to see the amount of homers and the offensive numbers that those guys still put up playing in a very pitcher-friendly ballpark is pretty impressive.
All right, I have 2 more quick things. One, you blew me off in spring training. I was there. I was at Sarasota. We efforted you for like 2 hours. I mean, we were sending every single PR person there was to find you, and they're like, "No, he's good." But we pulled Kimbrel off his fishing duty at the same time. So, I mean, is Craig Kimbrel or Grayson Rodriguez who gets dressed up and who should come on the show?
I like Dirty Craig. Dirty
Craig's awesome.
Dirty Craig, yeah, phenomenal guy. But I remember that day, I had to throw lives. It was
who went deep off you?
Yeah, it was Mountie.
Rocket.
Said it was a little league homer.
It was deep.
It was a little league homer.
Yeah, it was. So I threw. It was a sim game. Had to throw 5 innings that day. So it was a regular start day. Whatever gets to throw. In the backfield or whatnot, or stadium. We had it in the stadium because we had an away game. But I remember them trying to come get me, and I was like, I'm gonna get there. And then I think it was Mountie that was running over the time, and then I had to go to the weight room and do all my arm care and stuff. And then when I got done with that, y'all were gone. So there's my excuse. But I did give up a homer to Mountie, and it kills me still to this day.
Did he get the ball? And did he have you sign it?
No, he signed it, and then he wrote like 470 feet on it, and I'm like, yeah, that's crap. That's not right.
What we heard was that you might talk the most smack of everybody on the stand. Look at his smile. He knows it too. And so it felt a lot better for him. He did tell us that it hit the wall and just went over, but in my book, it's probably still 480 feet.
Yeah. So one of my favorite days is getting to face our own guys because I love talking crap. Like all year, I'm telling them, I'm like, if I'd faced this lineup, oh my gosh, I'd have 20 punch outs. And they're like, oh, whatever, shut up. And so those are the days, you actually get to go out and do it. Because, when you're throwing on a backfield in spring training, there's no adrenaline at all. There's none. If you're throwing 96, 98 in a game, you're probably going to be throwing 92 on the backfield. And, those guys are just trying to load up and cheat on heaters and stuff. And so, yeah, just trying to be able to get the stakes raised a little bit, talking a lot of trash. I told O'Hearn he'd have to call his agent to put in another bat order. That was really bugging him because I told him, I said, hey, man, don't bring your favorite bat up to the plate. He's like, why? I was like, because I'm going to break it. And that was a running joke. But no, it's just a lot of fun to talk trash. I like to run my mouth a lot, so it's a lot of fun.
A lot.
Okay. A lot. So, all right, you just said one of your best friends is DL Hall. When you guys play the Brewers, if it's Rodriguez versus Hall, I mean, is there some,
Yeah, I told him, I was like, dude, if this happens, I was like, we are going to beat the crap out of you. I was like, I'm going to out pitch you from pitch one. And he was like, oh, obviously me and him go back and forth. We have like a brother relationship. We're always fighting and stuff. But sadly, I don't think it's going to happen. I think he's going to throw. I think we're both throwing the first game before that series starts. So I think they come to Baltimore Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And I think we might both throw like on Thursday, if I'm not mistaken. So we won't line up. Yeah, it's kind of sad, but yeah.
So you decided not to do it. I see. DL, he was on earlier, and he said that he asked to switch start days so that he could line up with you in that series. But now, so you're saying you won't do that.
He's going on short rest.
If he was throwing against us, I would be in the manager's office arguing to get at bats that day because I would go deep 3 times.
With that big pansy elbow guard too, left-handed.
Yeah,
be like,
left on left.
It out there.
Listen. I make my money on the mound. Got to protect the arm. The elbow guard. Praying that I don't get an at bat. But it almost happened the other day. We made Freddie Gonzalez, our bench coach, made Burns go get on cleats and jersey because we were out of bench players. So I guess Burns is first up.
Did that make you mad?
If we have to, a little bit, but whatever. It happened a lot last year. We had Jack Flaherty at the end of the year, and Kyle Gibson, who both had show homers as pitchers. So those two were first in line. But this year, only having Burns, my chances are a little bit better to get an AB. So we'll see.
They'll never put a young guy up there. They would never put it. You're too valuable. They're like,
years
this
of
guy's
control.
a free agent. Throw him out. Throw him out there. Old guys first.
Was Freddie like not realizing? I mean, I played for Freddie for 2 years, so like, was he not realizing like it's the American League? Is he going back to his Atlanta days? It was like, we got to use a pinch hitter or a pitcher. Well, he must have got confused.
So we obviously, we like playing the matchups and stuff. So, typically by the end of the game, we're running pretty short. And, it could turn into a National League type situation. But specifically that day, I think McCann started, Adley was DHing. So we ended up having to burn the DH spot. We put Adley in, I think, there at the end of the game. So I think that was the big reason why that it was happening.
Hey, Diamondbacks had it the other day with Scott McGuff.
Yeah,
it was their last chance.
He made the last out on a strike that was like this far outside too.
In a one-run game.
Yeah, I know.
It was a close game.
Hey, Grayson, what are you doing in Boston on your off day? Oh, sorry, Kratz.
No, go ahead.
A lot of Call of Duty.
Whoa.
Yeah, so Mountie plays with us and some other guys. So, yeah, we like playing Call of Duty on off days. Still a little. I mean, it's in the 50s. It's not too bad. But I know some guys are trying to go golf, but it might be a little bit too cold for me to go golf. So I'm from Texas.
Hey, is there anybody, since you're in Boston, and tomorrow they're doing the big 04 thing when they won? I don't know if you know that. They won a World Series in 2004. I'm sure Kevin Millar will be there. He'll be telling everybody about it. Mm-hmm. But is there anybody that do you know who was on that team? Is there anybody on that team that you want to go up to and say hi to?
I mean, what? That's Ortiz probably.
Pedro, Schilling.
Yeah.
Johnny Damon.
No.
What's that?
Grayson was 5.
Manny Ramirez or no?
Manny, yep.
Is that the year that Schilling was bleeding through the sock?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. So that'd be a pretty cool
Derek
cool story
Lowe.
to ask about. Yeah. Um, yeah, I really don't know a whole lot of. That's a long time ago. I was 4 years old. Yeah. So.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate it. See, what's old guys remember.
Exactly.
Us old guys played against that team. We remember.
Yeah. I was getting ready for prep league t-ball. So.
Prep league t-ball. He was not going out as Kevin Millar. I'll tell you, you were not going out as Bill Miller, left-handed hitter from the 2004 Red Sox. I get it.
Won a batting title.
Did win a batting title. That's why he came up to mind. But my random question for you.
All right.
Tell us something about Adley Rutschman that nobody knows about. Your catcher. When we talk about the Orioles and I pick the Orioles to be the best team in the American League, I don't point to Grayson Rodriguez as, Corbin Burns, as, Gunnar Henderson. I point to the fact that it's because you guys have Adley Rutschman behind the dish, and the guy just does not know how to lose. Tell us something about him that nobody knows, or something that's unique that you really like about this guy.
I'd say, I don't know if some people may know this, I don't know, because MLB kind of did a video on it or something a couple off seasons ago. But he loves to quote movies, quotes movies all the time. Has a lot of I don't know, he can copy voices kind of well. So there's a lot of that going on. He likes to have fun in the clubhouse and stuff. So yeah, I'd say probably that. He can quote a lot of movies.
Do you talk smack to him?
A little bit.
No,
but at the same time, a little bit, but at the same time, him and James McCann, I have to be careful with him because McCann for sure probably would tell the batter what was coming, when I'm up there, because I like to talk a lot of smack with him. So, I could I don't know if Rutsch would do it, but I think James McCann might let him know, hey, fastball's coming right here, inside, and then do the whole, you shouldn't have shook me off or whatever thing. But yeah, I got to be careful with the catchers because they do a lot for us.
You're scared of them.
True.
You're scared of them. I get it.
A little bit.
No, they have all the power. It's a leverage.
They're scared.
You got to play the game. I play the game every day. I get it. I got these two to deal with. Grayson, great to have you on, man. You're great interview, great combo. So appreciate the time, dude. It was worth the wait, and keep crushing out there. We'll catch you during the season, all right?
Yeah, I appreciate y'all having me on. AJ, sorry I stood you up the first time. Hopefully you're not too mad at me.
It's okay. You made it up. As the second best pitcher from Nacogdoches, you made it up for it.
Thank you. Nacogdoches.
Nacogdoches. Right? I actually used to call it Nacogdoches to Humber, and he used to get so mad at me.
Naca nowhere.
Naca nowhere? No, that's where Belt lives. Belt lives nowhere.
Spell it. Y'all need to see if y'all can spell it. So.
Nagadoches. That's easy, bro. I looked up on the scoreboard.
IT.
Oh, all right, whatever.
Yeah, whatever. Good job.
I grew up. It was up on the scoreboard every time Humber would pitch.
Congratulations.
Tell him.
Us catchers aren't as dumb as you think we are, Grayson.
No, some of them are pretty smart.
Yeah, these guys talk all day. Grayson, great.
Thanks, Grayson. That was awesome.
Appreciate you.
Thank y'all for having me.
Thank you. Cheers. Grayson Rodriguez from the Baltimore Orioles with us on FT. Great combo. Good
I
times.
need him and DL Hall matched up. I'm calling Freddie Gonzalez. Be like, you need to switch your rotation.
I'll call Pat so they can each
you
get
call
one
Murph.
day.
I'll call Freddie.
It's already this weekend too. That's the problem. If it was in 2 months, they could,
No, just be like
They
they're
should
both a
fudge
little
it.
sore. They both need to throw Friday.
you just need one extra day for
Just
both.
one day.
Yeah.
They could
They
fudge
let
it if
them
it's
all
in
in
2 months. They could be like, oh, we'll figure this out. Yeah, right. They could care less.
True. And we'll get them both on maybe in the offseason together. That'd be fun. Hot corner. Let's relight the fire. So much shit went down this weekend, but do you know who stole the show? Do you know who was trending on social platforms more than anything else in our game? Who do you think?
Ángel.
Correct.
No, I wasn't even going to go there.
We have to go there.
No, it's just so tired. It's such a played out story because it's the same shit for 20 years.
Yeah, but what are we supposed to do about it?
Nothing. Apparently, they can't do anything about it.
It's
he sued MLB and he still works for MLB. I don't understand.
They're not touching him.
What if he said, I'm just going to do every call wrong instead of just every other call?
You can't.
What do you mean you can't? Come on, let's go over some of these clips.
You can't purposely, as much as like people want to paint this narrative, you can't purposely do the things that he does. And umpires do.
I'm going to tell you a story about an umpire, and I'm not going to tell you what the umpire's name was. When replay first started, I asked a certain umpire, I said, hey, what do you think about this replay thing? And this umpire said, it's great. I don't even have to try and get all the calls wrong, and they'll correct them for me. Mm-hmm. I'll let you fill in who the umpire was, but
there's that.
Talk about.
I mean, from certain umpires' lips to God's ears.
Well,
and your ears. Or are you calling yourself God?
No, I'm not calling myself God. God heard it, though. I'm just saying.
Would you like a highlight from the weekend here? I mean, there were multiple awful calls, but here's the low light where there were two problems. Let's run it.
3-2, strike 3, and Gleyber Torres said he didn't ever look at me. The pitcher was supposed to engage with the hitter. 3-2, strike 3, and Gleyber Torres said he didn't ever look at me. The pitcher was.
But it's not just Angel's fault. There's 3 other umpires there, so.
It also wasn't a strike either.
I'm not. You can't argue balls and strikes, AJ.
No, I can't on this show.
That wasn't a strike. Yet, did you see the ball
right down the middle?
What do you mean? K-zone had it as a little bit low of the middle.
Like it wasn't complete nitro zone. It was like just like if you're.
K-zone had a little bit low of the middle. So
like if you're playing darts, does it get bullseye or like a little?
It gets a little ring around the bullseye.
Okay. It's really bad. It's really bad.
Maybe you know what he would say on that one though. Kirk behind the plate stood up and faked like he was throwing to first. So the umpire's excuse is always, "Oh, you blocked my view." My favorite one was they're like, "You didn't catch it very well," and I'm like, "Well, you always tell me that it doesn't matter how I catch it, but then when you miss one, you didn't catch it very well." So I don't know which one it is supposed to be here, right? But then they have all these framing metrics where the umpires are always like, "I mean, this pitch is."
Right down the middle. I don't get it.
It is.
Hee-ha. Old Tim Mesa, Southeast PA's finest.
What would you say? Like, hey, where'd you have that one? And what would he say?
A little low.
Little low?
No, they literally would say, and I think Kratz would back me up, they literally would say, you jumped up and you blocked my view of it, so I missed it.
They'd blame it on somebody else. The good umpires, and this is what separates the good umpires from the bad umpires. When they miss it like that, they'll be like, dang it, I kicked it. I missed that one. That's the difference between. That's why Ángel rubs players the wrong way. Does he miss calls? Yes. Is he the worst out there statistically? No. But it's how he handles it. It's this look. Oh yeah, it was in the hot zone. It was in the red zone.
It's a really tough look right there.
I told you it was a little bit low of the middle. See, that's why it was a ball. It didn't go right down the middle.
But why is this never addressed? Like, if you suck, you should not be doing this.
That's my
this is
Dude,
not
he's been doing this for
teacher.
30 years.
This is not like a public school teacher that's got tenure that's mailing it in. And
he does have tenure, though.
I know, but that's wrong. That doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense.
I agree.
If you're off your game, you can't perform. You got to go. It's enough.
All negotiations, you're getting something in return. Major League Baseball is willing to keep umpire salaries squashed and lower, like the fact that their salaries have not even come close to keeping up with players' salaries, not in the sense that they should make as much, but percentage-wise, going the whole way up as players' salaries have gone up. What do you get? What do you get in return? Well, what do we get in return if you're not going to give us more salaries? We're just never going to fire any of you. There's no repercussion unless you do something illegal. They do not ever fire an umpire, ever. So they do have tenure. And that's their negotiation tactic. Because if they wanted more money and they wanted to be on the same scale as us as players, then they would have to be under the same stipulation of, look, man, like, you didn't do good. You missed 6 calls this week. You're on probation. You have another week of 3 missed calls, then you're going down to AAA. And you can get back. Not there forever, but you can get back.
But you got to be better. It's a performance industry. It's human element. They can't wait to kick out, 35-year-old Brandon Belt coming off a strong year, but just blindly make calls for days if you're an umpire. Go for it.
They have a union and there is no repercussions for it. There really is. I mean, they say, oh, if you're a bad umpire, you lose playoff gigs, you lose all-star games, you lose World Series. But, I mean, let's not forget, Ángel Hernández sued because he said he was discriminated against, right? And that's why he didn't get to – yeah. And so then all of a sudden he pops up in World Series and all-star games and all this. And you're like, wait, this is the way, as the Mandalorian would say.
Was Francis the pitcher for the Blue Jays? Did he break the rules by stepping off and stepping back on and pitching?
I mean, I would think if I was a hitter, I'd be pissed about that too. Like, I'd be like Glaber. I'd be like, whoa, he stepped off the rubber. Because if you notice, he stepped off and then he put his foot down real quick.
It's a balk, right?
There was somebody on base? Was there anybody? There was nobody on base, I don't think.
Nobody's on base.
Okay.
But it should have been a pitch clock violation or disengagement, right?
But you can have a disengagement. Technically,
so then the pitch couldn't count. That'd be like stepping off and then like quick pitching him without re-engaging.
But he did re-engage. He stepped off. He like wiped some dirt, and it looked like he was like, "Oh, I gotta get going." Put his foot down and went. So is that against the rules?
It should be against the rules. Yes.
I don't know because if
you step off the rubber, you have to be back and then come back on. No, if there's no one on base. But if you step off the rubber like he did, then normally you have to come back onto the rubber and re-engage. And he did it like that. I mean, if I'm a hitter and a guy steps off like that, I'm like, okay, pitch is off. Like kind of what Glaber did.
I'm asking about the rule. What is the rule? Like, do you have to come set again? Like, he stepped off. He was set. He stepped off, looked down at his foot, reset on the mound, and his hands were already together, and he went. So does he have to
I think he was trying to beat the pitch clock. I'd like to know what the timer was at on the pitch clock. What was the timer at?
It looked like I didn't see the timer, but it looked like that's what he was doing. But as soon as he steps off, then that's
restart
engagement. Then it restarts.
But that's on the umpire to be like, hey, stop. But instead we got a
instead we got a limp to the side. I don't even like his strikeout call. Yeah.
Did you see Nick Marley's scorecard? Was Nick Marley around when you guys were? No, he's a newer dude.
Yep.
Bob Marley was.
He came up.
True.
Nick Marley came up in the minor leagues when I was there. This is why I got my framing numbers, guys like this.
I mean, we have to read this for the podcast crowd. His called strike accuracy was 68%. 19 of 59 called strikes were true balls. 19 of 59.
Framing numbers galore.
He got fooled?
He got fooled.
That's again and again and again. Someone going to tap him on the shoulder and be like, hey, dude.
Is Ángel going to tap him on the shoulder and be like, hey, I'm not even that bad?
Not even close. This is one of the worst scorecards I've ever seen for called strike accuracy.
And you know what they're going to say? AJ was talking about earlier, the framing numbers. Colorado's catching coach is getting a raise because of this. Because of all these extra called strikes, because of how he taught, he's now going on YouTube, he's going on Twitter, he's going on TikTok, making catching coach framing videos.
And
the best part of that game, I know we're on a different thing.
It was 10-7.
No, it's not.
No, but
with all those extra strikes.
Chris, that was the game when what's his name hit the
Fairbanks.
walk-off home run, the grand slam.
Yeah, off Fairbanks. Right?
It wasn't off Fairbanks.
Oh, he loaded the
but
bases.
he loaded the bases. They struck out Chris Bryant. Chris Bryant got booed mercilessly as he walked off the field. And the next pitch, I think it was McMahon, hit the grand slam. The crowd went from complete booing Chris Bryant to elation.
Mm-hmm.
No. The part that sucked about that game is I had the under at 13. That's what sucked about that game. And they scored.
And the ump gave you 20 extra strikes, and they still scored 17 runs combined.
They scored 11 runs in the last inning and a half. The Rockies scored 2 in the bottom of the 8th, and then they went 5 by the Rays to tie it up, and 4 by the Rockies. I had under 13.
Yeah, you didn't factor in that the baseballs were whack for that game, which maybe we'll have time for later. All right, let's get to just a little note from the weekend. A few more things. Giancarlo Stanton had a nice weekend. He had a 3-for-3 day with a homer the other day, and then Sunday, grand slam that everyone felt. Whew.
It's the same guy that stepped off. Maybe he should have tried the trick pitch.
Rocket.
The step-off pitch.
Yeah.
Bowden Francis. Good for him. I like is that like a bat free throw kind of thing?
It's not the best bat flips. Giancarlo's going to have 500 home runs and maybe like 3 or 4 good bat flips. Not the best.
That's not his thing.
Not his thing. He does everything else perfect. Bat flip's not his thing. That thing though was a absolute rocket. Put some money down on G right now. This is his hot week? Because you gotta just for the week, and then ride the highs.
Exactly. There's still a lot of punch outs, but when he makes contact, he still does that. Steven Strasburg officially retired. Britt Giroli was on this story. Also, if you want to hear from Britt Giroli, she was a recent guest, and that podcast came out this morning. Go to Foul Territory, Apple or Spotify or wherever. Anyway, Britt said, Strauss has retired. The two parties who have been negotiating for months reached a settlement this week. Of note, there's no reduction in the value of Strasburg's total contract. The expectation is he'll have a press conference at a later date. I was watching actually a lot of Nats Phillies this weekend. It was a game. I was betting on them all weekend. Phillies. Got torched yesterday, but whatever.
You were doubling down.
Podcast,
you were doubling down on Sunday.
I was. I had a really good Friday, and then I just went crazy on Sunday. But it's all right. I'm back level, and it wasn't a lock. So anyway, Kevin Franzen and Bob Carpenter, they do a great job. But they were talking about the Strauss story, and I'm always interested to hear what like the team broadcasters say. And they were like, name and number, need to be retired, and he won a World Series for them. That's why I wanted to hear your reaction. They were pretty
retired.
Strong about it.
I mean, listen, he was kind of Zimmerman. I get.
Franny.
He just didn't do enough for me. I mean, that's not a knock on him. I know he won a World Series, but
he had a good career when he was on the field.
But he wasn't on the field enough. That's the thing. He wasn't on the field enough, and he just. I mean, I know he was the World Series MVP, and he led them to a World Series, and he was like their first. You know, I know Zimmerman was like their guy, and I get it. He was there for longer, but it wasn't enough because of the injuries for me. He just missed too much time. He didn't put up enough numbers, bulk.
But isn't it just about winning a World Series? And it's not
like
he
just should retire everybody's number.
No, he wasn't just on the team, though. He was the guy.
What about Scherzer?
He was the MVP. What about Scherzer?
He was on that team.
I think Scherzer's number should be retired with the Nats. He was on that team and had a freaking great career with the Nats. That contract worked out beautifully with them. No?
Oh, unbelievable contract. Maybe one of the best valued contracts in recent years. You know, him and Wheeler and, guys that had great contracts like that.
Jason Worth be retired?
That's what I'm saying. Like, I think you're
you're
overvaluing.
No. If
being
you're saying what
retired.
you're saying, he was on that team. He was there a long time. He was the first big contract guy in Washington. So should his number be retired?
Was Jason Worth more valuable to the Nats than Max Scherzer?
I'm just asking.
Probably a similar tenure, right? In terms of how long they spent with the team. No, because you guys are picking on me. You guys are going to start running through every player on the Nats and asking me if they deserve to be retired.
Should Howie Kendrick's number be retired because he hit the foul pole in Game 7?
Gerardo Parra should definitely have him and Baby Shark retired for sure.
All right, AJ's picking on you. I'm being serious. The only person of that era that his number should be retired, and I got to look his numbers up.
He's Ryan Zimmerman.
Is Zimmerman.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and change years for
Strasburg?
Scherzer.
Okay.
No.
Really good numbers.
Yeah, I mean, he had great numbers, but he wasn't there long enough. For me.
Strasburg wasn't out there. You weren't going into a year saying, or at the end of a year saying, man, Strasburg carried us, besides the one season.
He had 2 years where he threw over 200 innings. He had his career ERA is still over 3, which is kind of mind-boggling to me. He had 1, 2, 3, 4 years over 175 innings.
Yeah, but the body of work, he spent his whole career with the Nats.
Okay, is it
Parts of
1,000 innings is enough? 1,400 innings
almost
is enough?
1,500 innings.
No.
It's just not enough for me. I'm
Cy
sorry.
Young votes, All-Star appearances, World Series MVP.
Didn't win a Cy. 3 All-Star games.
I've seen much weaker jersey retirements.
Who?
Don't do that. You guys can't put me on. I'll get my homework together tonight. I'll put my research report together for you this evening.
But if he had played out this contract, if he had been able to stay healthy, I would have agreed with you. If he would have played till he was 37, I think he could have done some really nice things in his career there. His career was essentially.
I'm not talking about Hall of Fame, though, Kratz. If he played out his contract, if he gave him 2 or 3 years even more, it would be easy. He made what, 8 starts during now a 7-year contract that'll still play out. I don't know. You guys
I think
are,
it's more
strict.
I think you're retiring his number is more of a storyline. Oh, he's a big time pick. He's getting called up. What an amazing debut. All this stuff. Like, it's the storyline. It's not necessarily like this guy. Like, to me, I can't think of somebody whose number got retired that, I shouldn't say did less, but like I want to see your list tomorrow.
Okay. I'm going to do some homework.
And all that saying, he had a great career for being able to, like, outside of his injuries, being able to do what he did. He was an above average pitcher. But when we talk about retiring a jersey, I feel like that's a little lofty.
Okay. Lastly, there were some questions in the chat about this. So just to answer it, what does it mean by them settling if he didn't give anything up? He did. It's deferred payments, and it helps both sides.
Okay.
Kind of keeps the value of the contract there, frees up some money, I think, on the short term. It works. That's something that's done. So I don't know the exact numbers. Maybe that'll come out, but that's a win. That's good.
I like that. I hope both sides are happy with that. I'm hoping that they're not like, well, hey, why don't you just keep showing up to spring training for the next 3, because that, to me, that would be like holding him hostage, especially if a guy doesn't want to be around. Like, not everybody wants to just stay around baseball. Like, they want to be done, and that's it. So hopefully there's nothing like, oh, we still want you to come around besides the World Series celebration stuff, but not like, oh, be a special coach in the org for 3 years.
No, he's not doing any of that. And it's over. That's what this is. It's over now. They can stop messing around with the 40-man and having to put him on and off and do the whole dance and challenge him. The little petty stuff is over. All right. Lastly, here in Hot Corner, there have been a lot of uniform problems. The latest one is Back orders for major leaguers? How does this happen?
There's a bunch of teams. The Rangers can't wear their City Connects, so they don't have them. But there's a bunch. The Cardinals didn't get their blue ones, right? The Brewers haven't got their City Connects.
Yeah, they're not ready yet. So, like the Rangers, for example, not wearing them when they were supposed to on the 5th, which was a few days ago. They didn't get them yet, and the club expects to have them by their next Friday home game on April 26th. They didn't know, though. The schedule only came out like 2 years ago.
And Rangers came out with their City Connects last year.
So is it fair to say that you need more than a year to come out with enough City Connects to wear them when you know when the game is supposed to be and you knew about the City Connects and all of that for a minute? Is that fair? Do you know anyone locally, Kratz, in your neck of the woods that could have sewed these up over that year period and had them ready for a 26-man roster?
I would like to say that factory was super efficient, because in the parts of 11 years that I was in the big leagues, I never once did not have the big league uniform that we were supposed to wear for the game. Even getting traded and sent up and sent down, there was always a big league uniform waiting for me and my teammates. If somebody ripped one, if somebody sweated through 3 of them, there was never an issue like this when New Era up in the Lehigh Valley made these uniforms. So whoever's in charge of this, poor planning, poor execution, and maybe just give it back to New Era. I'm sure they'll accept the business back under their name.
Well, no, they got bought out. Majestic. They got bought out.
It was Majestic.
What did I say? New Era?
Yeah.
New Era makes the hats.
Yeah.
Majestic got
Don't
bought
give
out.
them that slander.
Majestic got bought out by Fanatics, didn't they?
Yes, they did. And they are running that facility, and it's not ready. And it's inexcusable.
But wasn't it already, all they had to do was just turn it on?
You got to.
It was already there.
When that happens, there has to be a statement for accountability. It does make things better. Even with the new uniforms, Nike came out the other day and started to apologize, and I think it helps. Is it still an unexcusable problem? Yes, but just come out and be a person. Hey, we messed up. We're working on this. That's all it takes. Like, give me a little bit of human element. This happens with the league too. Manfred kind of said when this was going on, everyone's going to forget about it. They're not forgetting about it. We have players telling us this shit. Just come out and say, you know what? We really effed up. We don't have these City Connects ready. We got to be better. We're going to be better. Wait until they come out on whatever. Make it right. Just apologize.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going away.
New Era is Buffalo. Majestic is Lehigh Valley. That's my bad. Company slip.
All good. You're mixing up your Pennsylvania geography. Happens to the best of us. All right, let's get some picks going here. Okay. BetMGM locks time, but first, the MLB free game of the day streaming on the BetMGM app is Brewers Reds. Live streaming is available to all BetMGM customers who are logged in and have funded accounts. Let's talk about it for 1 sec. Brewers Reds this evening.
Preview of the first place, second place team for the rest of the year in the NL Central.
Oh yeah, is that how you feel?
I'm asking.
Pirates fans are pissed at you.
I get they are, but that's why I'm asking.
Graham Ashcraft against Aaron Ashby.
Ashby's got good stuff. He can just stay healthy. He's just always banged up. He's always hurt. He's got good stuff. He throws it over the plate. He's nasty.
He is. He's had a lot of injuries.
Really
Ashcraft, I think, has good stuff too, but it's just been inconsistent. I thought he was going to pick up more punch outs in his career. What's the circle?
He's just wild. Like he's not wild, but he's wild like in the strike zone. So he like wants to throw it away and he throws it in. Like he's not throwing it balls. He's just wild, like in the strike, right? Like he walks people, but he doesn't. I don't know. Yeah, he's got command, maybe not control, or control, maybe not. I don't know what the exact terminology is, but like he throws strikes. He just throws not quality strikes, right?
Yep, that's fair.
But he's got good stuff. Both these guys have great stuff.
Ashby
Reds are 5-4.
Comes out of his hand really well.
Yeah, he can. Brewers are 6-2. Reds are 5-4. They just lost a weekend series against the Mets. Mets could have swept them. What was that the game where they blew it? Game 1, Friday. Yep. So anyway, if you want to watch that game for free in the app, go for it. Let's get to locks.
Churio versus Ellie.
Ooh, yes. That is the selling point for me.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. Friday locks. I went with the Phils run line. They did it. Aaron Nola bounced back. They silenced the Nats. AJ, brag.
Plus 333. That's all I got to say.
Ooh,
It's a good hit, dude.
333.
It's a good hit.
I'm not a sucker.
Didn't you just make it on one of those? Did Cease get 7 Ks?
Yes, he's got 7. Hicks got
5.
Yeah.
Whatever. It was easy.
But it was early.
It was a no sweat bet.
If you don't watch the game and you look at the box score afterward.
I actually turned it on, and Hicks had already had his, and Cease was on 6, and I was like, is he going to come out for the next inning? And he did. They took him out in the middle of the inning, but he struck out the last guy.
So it was a sweaty bet.
It was a no sweat bet.
It was
sweaty.
It was hot. And then there's Kratz and Kipnis falling on Friday, and there's your money bags. And then for today's picks, we start off with the Papnosticator.
What's up, my people of FT? I'm back. It's Monday. We're going to get back on this winning streak. And I got 3-game parlay for you today. The Diamondbacks, the Braves, and the White Sox. I mean, I got to keep riding the White Sox. They suck. AJ, your White Sox, they are fucking terrible. So I'm going to ride them probably all year long. It's like, throwing a 2-seam to Kratzy, You throw it until you finally get the base hit. I mean, he's going to keep pounding the ground, so you got to keep going right to the well. I mean, this is what we're doing here, folks. So I got a 3-game parlay, and we're going to bet $300 today, and we're going to win $948. And a lot of you might be wanting to know why I'm standing here, because today is the day we get that cheese, some of that Chuck E. Cheese money, baby.
Like, what is he doing there?
Yeah.
Can you imagine if he's like, honey, I got to go out for a few minutes.
Yeah.
Where are you going? Just don't worry about it. I got a bit. I got to do a little thing.
He's got his Burberry shirt on, standing in front of Chuck E. Cheese.
That is so good. You're the best. Never change.
Why is he taking it? I mean, we
He's
all know Kratz couldn't hit 2-seamers, but why is he taking shots at me, dude? I'm not a White Sox anymore.
He thinks that your former team is trash.
But, yeah, he let us know.
He did.
Hey, when Pap comes on again, make sure he knows what I am in my career off of him. So there's that.
What are you, 0 for 0?
1 for 1.
No.
Get it. You're up, Kratz.
Spencer Turnbull is facing the league-leading strikeout team in the St. Louis Cardinals. They're almost averaging 12 punch-outs a game. Turnbull is coming out at plus 115. Yeah, plus 115 for over 4.5 punch-outs. I like the matchup. I like what he did last time. Granted, he's not, I don't know that the Cardinals are quite the same team that he faced last time in the Reds, but both teams strike out a lot, and it's only 4.5 strikeouts, so I'm taking the over.
Boom.
Yeah. All
You're
right.
up.
Same game. I took the over in that game, though. I took it's over 9. I just think there's going to be some runs scored in that game. I mean, you mentioned Turnbull, but I think Michaelis is pitching also, and I think that there's going to be. I mean, 9 seems low. I mean, I see this being a 7-4, 6-5, something like that, where they hit double digits over, and I think 9 is low. So I'm taking that. It's even money plus 100, so it seemed like let's get in the positives before we start going big like that.
I'm also looking for a little more Phillies offense. They were kind of yesterday. Edmundo Sosa leading the way, getting the plug in at second base. There's so much talent on there.
Mackenzie Gore's been good his first 2 starts. So tough lefty. It's a good sign when JT Realmuto's hitting the way he's hitting. To me, that solidifies that lineup. But that's why I like AJ's bet. I'm tailing it in the FT parlay.
What do you think about mine? I got ATL. I'm just going money lines today. Braves to win against the Mets. Mets are throwing Tehran out there, who had a 4.5 last year, and his expected ERA was closer to 5 against Morton, coming off 5 2/3 shutout. Those are Fridays. Let's show today. We had Also, the Dodgers at minus 135, so I'm combining those two. Just for a money line, I didn't feel great about the run lines in case they get tight today. So I got Paxton coming off 5 shutout innings going up against the Twins offense. It's been okay at best. I would say probably below average right now. Certainly missing Royce Lewis. So I'll get a dub for them. Dodgers coming off a series loss. They're facing Ober. Ober had 1 1/3, 8 runs, 9 hits against KC. So that's playing at plus 156. Usual, 100 down to win 156. And let's hit that first bet offer at $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet loses when you download the BetMGM Sportsbook app and use the bonus code FOUL, F-O-U-L. Sign up and deposit at least $10 into that account. Place that first wager and receive up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if the bet loses. And that would happen once your initial wager is settled. You get those bonus bets. Gambling problem or concern? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Okay. Believe it or not is up. Beautiful. Kind of burying the lead here. This would be a lead story on most days of our show. Okay. This was reported by Bob Nightingale and confirmed by Ken Rosenthal on the fresh edition of Fair Territory. I encourage you to watch it or listen to it later. It just was released. The Marlins reportedly agreed to void reigning manager of the year Skip Schumacher's club option for 2025 over the winter, meaning that he is a lame duck manager after his first season as manager of the year, leading the Marlins to their first playoff appearance besides 2020 since 2003. So Skip Schumacher is going to be a rich man after this season. I know the Marlins are going through it. They have not given him a good roster this year. And I cannot believe that a talented manager like this is basically on a 2-year deal. And then he gone. You know he's going to get some good dough somewhere else. They're not going to pay him. Were you not shocked when you saw this?
Yeah. Well, Kim Ng hired him. Kim Ng no longer works there.
Right.
So that's the one thing that doesn't surprise me about this. Usually when new people come in, they want their own guy, but this guy was great for him last year. Everyone that talks about Skip Schumacher raves about what a great person, what a great leader he is. Listen, if things don't go right in St. Louis, I know they signed Ollie Marmol, but he's a free agent. There's a chance, Skip slides back into where he kind of started in St. Louis. I mean, San Diego, but I know they just hired Schild. He was there for a little while, right?
White Sox.
They have a manager.
Everyone has a manager now.
Red Sox, if Alex Cora leaves.
It's a good one.
Right? Because there's talk about him. He's in the last year. What did he say? That he doesn't know how long he wants to do this anymore. Speculation of him possibly leaving. I mean, Aaron Boone's always perpetually on the hot seat, even though he shouldn't be.
Mm-hmm.
If they, sometimes they don't make the playoffs this year. There's a lot of places that would love to have Skip Schumacher as their manager, and he's great. And so this surprises me. I don't know if it was mutually agreed upon that they wouldn't pick up his option, but the fact that this has happened and it's become news is kind of messed up.
The fact that it happened, and it kind of shows that, in my opinion, they probably talked about it in the offseason. Hey, who are we gonna go get? Look at what happened when we picked up Bell, we picked up Berger. Can we just make some more moves? To me, this should show Marlins fans, if they didn't know this already, there was no plan at having any kind of moves this offseason. There was nothing, because your manager asked, hey, could we get some extra players here? Could we get some guys to fill in some of these holes? I like this guy. This guy got hurt. We need to fill in our pitching depth a little bit. And in my opinion, they probably said no. And then he said, can we just void my contract? Like, I'm good. Like, I don't need to come back after next year. Like, you guys, we'll go our separate ways. Someone else will hire me.
I'm shocked. But good for Skip, because it sounds like it's going to be another rebuild there. So he doesn't have to deal with that potentially. It's weird this year, though.
Rebuild. It was kind of supposed to be a rebuild last year. Let him to the playoffs. Remember, it wasn't.
Sure.
Like, new GM comes in. They're like, oh, we're going to figure this out. And then, boom, they make the playoffs. And you're thinking, all right, they're on the up. And they lose, obviously, a bunch of their pitchers. They also didn't bring in anybody to fill any holes. I mean, Tim Anderson was their only big league signing. Nice signing for what they got him for. But, gosh, like, you could have, supplemented that roster with so many people. and they didn't. So, I mean, Skip Schumacher's like, oh, you want to avoid it? Okay, I'll find somewhere next year and be just fine.
Weird. More on that on Fair Territory with Ken Rosenthal. It is out now wherever you get your pods. Check out the show too, of course, on the Foul Territory YouTube network that you watch here, which will also have Dodgers Territory right after our show ends in about 5 minutes. We got a few things to run through on Slap Hands. So I'll give us those 5 minutes to get to all of them. Let's run it. Okay, so our friend Ask Kate does team fan impressions. And I want to show one of them. It was very well done. Some early season panic, back and forth, the whole deal. So we've got Ask Kate for a little minute here. Go ahead.
Did you guys feel the earthquake? Yeah, we felt it here. It was nothing too crazy though. Our guys kept hitting during batting practice. I'm surprised Yankee Stadium didn't go on the IL. They said that. At least our announcers still want to watch our games. So how do you guys feel about the new stadium? It's exciting. The stadium is gorgeous. We cannot wait to see other teams hit home runs there. I don't know why they're picking on us. The Marlins haven't even won a game yet. I mean, I haven't seen a fish look that lost since Finding Nemo. Why don't you tell us what your strengths are for the season? What if I told you what some of my weaknesses are? Our defense has been an absolute debacle. Trevor Story is going on the IL, and every game we played so far, we absolutely could have won. The Giants and I feed off each other's energy. We sweep them, they complain. We have so much fun. Yeah, we're having a lot of fun. At this point, just hand us the NL Central. We have Paul Skeens in AAA. Come on. Cheat code. How do I feel about our ace going on the IL? Well, if we didn't have the Avengers in the lineup, I'd be a little bit more concerned. You have to remember, there are always people in a worse situation than you are. We have a great starting rotation. There are others that aren't in the same boat.
That was so good. It's really hard to put that together. That was perfect. Mm-hmm. Nailed it. Great job, Kate. What was your favorite part?
Well, they didn't have the Avengers, then they'd be in trouble. That was kind of funny.
And
good. Then the Sacramento part. We can't wait to see other people hit homers off our pitchers.
So good.
The Guardians. Was like, the Braves are just like, hey, you know what? It happens. People are in worse situations. Oh. My boy Vogt.
Well played.
Old Vogt.
Give us a quickie Kratz hats, and then AJ's got one thing.
Rail Riders.
Nice.
Glow at the park hats. So nice. And the hat is like, it's like matte black, soft. Woo-hoo. Let's get it.
I like the gray brim. That's an A.
It's a good hat.
That's a
good hat.
Does that get an A?
Yeah, you love it. You can wear it at one of your EDMs.
Exactly. Rave hat, A.
Yeah.
You got 1 minute. What are you doing?
So Chris Sale pitched great yesterday. I had a couple real swords, and then he took a shot at me. So, Chris, don't be afraid to come on. I taught you better than this, to come on the show and defend yourself, and I will defend my honor. If you haven't seen it, Mark Bowman, friend of the show, they asked him about why he doesn't shake off, and he said, I forget exactly what it was, yada, yada, yada. And then he said, and my first catcher was AJ Pierzynski. I'll let you figure that one out.
That's got to at least earn another Chris Sale appearance.
I texted him and I said,
he
promised us a spring training and he no-shows. And then I texted him today and I said, dude, if you're going to take shots at me, I taught you better than this. You need to come on and I need to defend my honor.
Mm-hmm.
And he's
playing with his chest.
Yeah, right?
He's got to really have much till he pitches again. You better respond.
Yeah, he will. He's great about it. He's great about it. But it was just funny.
I love that. Good stuff. Dodgers Territory is coming up next. Alana Rizzo and Clint Pasillas will run the show. And you do not have to, don't touch that dial. It goes right from show to show. So,
but hit subscribe in between.
Yeah, hit subscribe. Mm-hmm. Most people do. Most people hit the like button because they're nice to us. Most. Not all, but most. Our friends. Good show today. Felt like we had to start real negative, which was tough. But, by the end, we picked it up. We had a few positives there.
By the end, we have our plus 2,800 FT parlay.
Sure.
That John's hit.
Hey, look at it on the positive side. Ángel Hernández does get some calls right. He does.
He does.
See you Tuesday. Thanks to our members. You're the best.